Since restructuring its economy in 1986, Vietnam has gone from being one of the poorest countries in Asia to achieving middle income status. As part of this shift, Vietnam has made efforts to integrate more deeply into global economies and attract foreign investment. Vietnamese women have contributed significantly to this achievement. They make up 48% of the labour force while receiving 60 to 80% of the salary and, at the same time, shouldering most of the unpaid care work at home and in the community. Vietnam has signed 12 free trade agreements, including the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and is concluding negotiations on 4 more, including the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement. Trade with the outside world is clearly bringing a lot of benefits to Vietnam's economy, while at the same time substantially changing the social, cultural and environmental relationships in the country. The implementation of trade agreements has significant implications for women's rights in Vietnam. These agreements are likely to provide some trade benefits to Vietnam. For example, the EU-Vietnam FTA is predicted to increase Vietnam's exports to Europe by up to 30%, resulting in a potential increase of up to 15% in Vietnam's GDP, subject to Vietnam's readiness. Signing on to these free trade agreements also means that Vietnamese companies, particularly small to medium enterprises, will have to compete with FDI companies that may be larger and more established. The garment sector shows some of the good and bad impacts of Vietnam's trade agreements. Vietnam's garment sector is booming and has created millions of jobs, and 80% of workers in this sector are women. But conditions for women working in garment factories fall below international standards of decent work. Vietnam's minimum wage can be as little as £93 per month, well below the Asia floor wage standard of £350 per month. Women regularly work long hours with frequent overtime. Fierce competition for foreign business among countries in the region hinders improvements in wages and conditions. On top of this, women workers have a second, unpaid job to do when they get home. ActionAid Vietnam research has found that women do an average of 5 hours per day of unpaid care work. There are very few available publicly funded kindergarten places for children under 3, and even fewer kindergartens supported by employers. The challenge now is how can we make trade more gender sensitive, and what role can investors play to achieve this?